I recently was invited by my son's girlfriend's family to join them in Italy to send off their niece for a summer internship program. Of course, I took up the offer. But what I did was I scheduled a long layover in Paris so that I could experience Paris for a little bit before taking off to Italy. So I did extensive research on what it was that I exactly wanted to do during those brief hours that I had to spend in Paris. I knew two things. One, my husband would not be interested in drinking espressos. And two, my husband would not be interested in eating croissants. And so my whole mission on this brief trip to Paris on my layover was to try espresso and try croissants. Since there's so many pastries and bakeries in Paris, I had to narrow it down to cafes that are close to each other and the ease of getting back and forth to the airport, and the type of croissant I wanted to try, but mostly visiting a historical building. Knowing I had only a small amount of time, I chose Café de Flore and the Du Magot, and I'm sure I'm saying both of those names wrong because I don't speak a lick of French and I don't have a French accent at all, so I know I'm pronouncing it incorrect. And this area was close enough for me to scoot over to visit a couple of other historic sites. When I went to Paris, I had zero plans of creating a video, so you won't see me doing anything on camera here. What you will see are photos that I can share with you and my experience. First, if it wasn't for the lady sitting next to me on the plane who had a map of Paris and showed me how to get from the airport to the St Germain area, I'm not sure if I would have figured it out, even after all of the videos that I watched. It was very clear after she explained it, and it was very easy to get to this area of Paris in the 6th arrondissement area, where these two cafes were right down the street from each other. It was very intimidating to get off of the train and turn and see all of the people at Les Du Magot. It was so packed and busy, I didn't even think that I would get a table, and I wanted a table outside. But because I was a single person, didn't take up much space, I guess, I easily got a spot outside to sit and order my espresso and my chocolate croissant. Presentation, beautiful. People watching, 2 thumbs up. Service, it's Paris, and they were busy. Affordability for a place that's well known, I would say yes. Atmosphere, pretentious, and I definitely felt like an outsider because I didn't understand anything anyone was saying. What I knew going into these 2 cafes was that these weren't the most highly rated croissants that you could get in Paris. But all of this I knew prior to going because I did extensive research on these 2 cafes. I wanted to go for the experience of being at these 2 cafes where literary giants had frequented in historic buildings. That is the atmosphere and vibe I was wanting to soak up. And I feel like I 100% was able to soak up those vibes of those literary giants who attended these cafes. So again, I chose these 2 cafes because I knew my husband would not be interested in picking up on literary giant vibes in these places. My 3 tips if you have a long layover or if you can schedule one is schedule a chillaxing time where you can explore and adventure without a lot of stress. And that's what I did on this mini little layover trip to Paris. And I loved every single minute of it. Once I was done at the 2 cafes and filled my stomach up, I needed to walk it off a little bit. And so I had time to explore the Seine River, which I saw on my way to see the famous Louvre Museum, which kind of reminded me of the Chicago River, how wide it was with all the bridges. One thing you can't get over in Paris is the enormity of all of the buildings, the intricate details carved into the buildings and how beautiful the stonework is. In comparison, the Louvre Museum was shockingly much smaller than all of the other buildings. It's always seemed so much bigger on TV. Of course, when I go back with my husband, I'm sure that we will not only go to the Eiffel Tower and a few other historic sites, but we may go to this museum as well. So it was a quick little walk over there and allowed me to stretch my legs before heading back to the airport and getting back on the flight. Needless to say, my flight was delayed many times over. It was not a fun experience to be delayed so many times in the airport. If they had delayed it before I had left Delta Sky Club and I had known it was going to be delayed for hours rather than them repeatedly saying 45 minutes, I would have definitely experienced more of Paris or stayed in the Sky Club longer. Free food, free champagne, all kinds of free amenities and comforts that you don't get in the regular terminal section. So at any rate, that was probably the least fun part about Paris. Was it scary to go to a foreign country for the first time by myself? Yes. Did I force myself to do it? Yes. Am I glad I did it? Absolutely. So if you have a connecting flight, here are my 3 tips to get on and off that flight quickly so you can do a layover trip. Years ago, when I began traveling, I started capturing all of my trips extensively and sharing them with my mom, who had a fear of travel. While she is no longer with us here on this earth, I know she is near and dear to my heart. And the memories I have of me sharing my experiences with her inspires me to share them with you and those who also have a fear of travel. And for those who are just looking for ideas. From Paris, we go to Italy, where I meet my son's girlfriend's family for the very first time. We all travel from the U.S. separately to meet in Italy, where the buildings are even bigger than in Paris. Please like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more travel vibe content. Thank you.